If you've been watching our shows for the last couple of days, then this little red day or this little correction in the altcoins doesn't really surprise you. If you have been, you've probably got a whole lot of other questions. Now, what would those other questions be? Well, you probably want to know how long this correction is going to go, and you probably want to know what to buy in this correction. That's really what I want to speak about today in this video. I want to speak about this little correction. I want to speak about whether it started, has started, is starting, how long there is to go, and I want to give you a full buy list of everything that I'm going to be buying during this correction. I've got an amazing list for you. So today's going to be very short, sharp, and to the point. There is a correction happening. Who hasn't started yet? What are we buying, and how long is it going to last? So simple. Let's get going. GM, good morning. I mean, you shouldn't be surprised about this little pullback. I literally called this pullback everywhere that we could have spoken. Like I told you guys on the weekend, remember I posted this tweet before we went live. When we went live with Henrik this weekend, I literally posted something that is going to show you that there could be a pullback next week, and we should be maybe just getting ready for a pullback next week. That was on the weekend. Then I went onto the crypto banter Instagram, and I was like, guys, hold on, let me play this for you.
I think I've just realized that there may be a crypto dip next week, and I want to show you exactly why there's going to be this dip.
So I literally spelled it out for you. I told you guys there's going to be a little bit of a crypto dip this week. Now I think the big question is, how long is it going to last? How low is it going to go? And what are we buying? That's pretty much what we're asking. We're not asking questions about whether there's going to be a dip because we called the dip. Now it's like, what are we buying? Because we know that the market is going to continue to go up. So that's what today is about. What I need you guys to do. I heard that there were like 33 of you that aren't actually subscribed to the channel. May I just ask that the 33 of you actually just subscribe now? We'll wait. Should I leave again and then come back, 𝗕𝗂𝗁? Should I go and then come back? Okay, so please, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, let's go. And also, if you haven't already liked, because there's over 1,000 of you here and there's only 160 likes, that either means you don't like what I'm saying, you think you're not going to like the show, just smash the like button and let's get going. Let's get going with the alpha. But give me energy. Your likes, my energy. Your likes, my energy. I need the energy, guys. See, I'm drinking a matcha today to try and get energy. Amazing. Very excited about today's show because really, as I said to you, called this dip perfectly. I knew it was coming. I told you guys last week that there's going to be some kind of dip. The question is whether this is the dip or whether the dip is still to come. How did I know the dip was coming? I was looking at a couple of charts. As you guys know, I think we spoke about those charts quite a lot yesterday. The main chart that I was looking at that was giving me the big alarm bells was this Bitcoin dominance chart. And specifically, when I looked at the RSIs on this Bitcoin dominance chart, and I told you guys yesterday that when those RSIs were that low, I was like, hold on, this dominance has to correct. Now, in order for the dominance to correct, you need Bitcoin you need the altcoins to fall faster than Bitcoin. And you can already see that started happening, right? The reason why that started happening is because if you look at Bitcoin hasn't started moving it. Like there's literally no movement in Bitcoin whatsoever. Like you can say the high, which was a candle high, was 123,000, but actually the Bitcoin high was more like the close was like 120,000. And so now Bitcoin is at 118,700. So really not much of a correction on Bitcoin. But in the meantime, if you look at the alts pretty much look like this, and you're getting alts down that are 10, 20, and 30% down. So the question is this the beginning of a correction? Specifically around the alts, and if yes, why hasn't Bitcoin started moving, right? You can see the dominance is telling you a little bit of a story. The first part of the story is that you can see Bitcoin dominance went from, I guess you could say 60.4 to 62, which is a little bit of a move in the dominance, but that's not the real move. If you look at altcoin dominance, which shows you how much the altcoins make up of the entire market, and specifically the other altcoins, which excludes the top 10, right? You can see that chart has gone back to where it was in the beginning of June. So that chart's gone back about a month, right? So we made a whole lot of progress. We made a whole lot of progress. In fact, it touched that level like a week ago or something like that. So we gave away that 1 week's gains on that chart, right? And you can also see it over here. If you look at the corrections in the altcoins, you can see that about 2 days ago, we were at the top of this chart, which means that about 2 days ago, we were on like 60 almost. In other words, 60 of the top 100 altcoins had outperformed Bitcoin, and now we're at 45, which means that those altcoins have pretty much come down, and Bitcoin has pretty much stayed still or traded up. Oh, see, you're cutting me off on the corner here, so I can't see myself on the bottom corner of the screen. Maybe you could just move me slightly more onto the charts. Okay, hold on, we're going to just move me slightly more onto the charts so you guys can see me, because I feel like you guys are there. You just lost me. You just lost me. Okay, can you move me or not? Okay, he's moving me. He's moving. You're going to see me moving. So anyway, what you're seeing is the altcoins actually starting to correct, while Bitcoin is pretty much doing nothing. And the truth is that this is actually quite healthy. This is actually quite a healthy correction, right? You want these corrections flushing out in bull markets. You want the flush out corrections. And you can see that we had in the last 24 hours, you had $1 billion of people wrecked. Where were they wrecked? They were wrecked on ETH, actually. It wasn't like usually you see the majority of the people get wrecked on Bitcoin. This time, the majority of the people were actually wrecked on ETH. Okay, why? Because this is the ETH part of the cycle. This is the altcoin part of the cycle. This is when everyone's aping into the altcoins. And that's why you're getting more liquidations on ETH than you're actually getting on Bitcoin. Are we in the process of moving me yet or not? Okay, let's move me. Okay, they're gonna try and move me across the screen so that I know people are complaining that my head's getting cut off here. I mean, also, like, these things are good with the RSIs. Like, if you look at the RSIs, you want the RSIs to actually be correcting, right? You want these RSIs here to actually be moving down. About 2 days ago, the RSIs were very, 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 very overbought. Now the RSIs much more in the neutral territory. We want the RSIs very much in the buy territory. Let's actually go to the shorter time frames, right? There we go. Over here, hold on. Let me show you some short time frames. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay, so you've got the RSIs here. Look at this is the 12-hour time frame. You can see those are really starting to move much, much, much more into the green. And if you go into lower time frame, like the 4 hours, okay, you can see that those are starting to really be in the green here, right? So that is, we want these things. We want healthy corrections in the bull market. If a market just goes up, then the market becomes unhealthy, and it becomes a type of market where you can't really enter the market, right? Because the market is just on a straight line trajectory up. You can't get into those markets. Those markets land up going up, and then they land up coming down much faster than they landed up going up. So we are seeing a little bit of what you want to call maybe like an altcoin correction. Now, the big question is, has it started yet? Has the real correction actually started yet? And I think the short answer is probably not. Probably not. This is probably just like a little bit of a taster if we're going to get a correction, right? If we're going to get a correction, what you want to see in a real correction is you want to see Bitcoin actually coming down. And in this case, you haven't actually had Bitcoin coming down. You've just had the altcoins correcting, right? Even ETH, if you look at ETH, you can see that ETH, like the top of ETH, if you exclude the candles, was 3765. It's trading at 3653. That's not like a real correction when it comes to the altcoins, right? So what this could be is one of two things. A, we may not even correct at all. We may just get like a little altcoin correction. And we had a lot of those altcoin corrections in 2021. So if you look at 2021, this is a 2021 chart. And I'm going to zoom out for you just so that you can see. That's the 2021 chart. It looks very similar to the chart that we have right now, right? It looks very, very similar to the chart that we have right now. You had that high, then you went down again, and then you started to move up again. Now you can see that's exactly the chart that we've actually got here. You had the high in December, you went down again, and now you're starting to come up again. These two charts from 2021 and 2025 look very, very, very similar, right? If the charts are similar, and I'm looking at others, which is the top 10 excluding, I want you to see what actually happens here. So one is, in this part of the bull market, it's aggressive and it's up. And there's no corrections. Like, there are corrections, but that's what the corrections look like in the big scheme of things. Now, I'm specifically staying on the daily time frame so that you can see what I mean here. And it's very important that you understand exactly what I'm looking on here. And we'll move on to another chart in a second. In this part of the bull market, which actually doesn't last very many days, it lasted in this bull market. it lasted 112 days, which is just under 4 months, right? Which is pretty much what our thesis is for this bull market. In this kind of market, and I've specifically stayed in the daily just to make a point here, you'll get a lot of green days in concession. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then what will happen is you'll get a day where you wick up and then you go down for 3 or 4 days or 5 days, and you go down 15% on the altcoins. That's pretty similar to what's happening now. I'll show it to you again here. So you get this like massive upward move over. You get this massive upward move over here. You move up, right? You get to a day where there's a little bit of exuberance, which is that day over here, and then you go down just for a few days to there. And over 7 days, you lose 16% of your value. Now, when you look at it on the chart, you don't even see the correction because it's not really a correction in the big scheme of things because things are moving so fast, right? Really, you could say that in this cycle, if you were looking for real corrections, in the 120 days of the blow off top, you had a correction that started over here and went to here. You had a 130% correction in altcoins. But for the rest of it, the altcoins were moving up so fast and so aggressively that corrections didn't even look like corrections. Like you got to this level over here, 4 days later, you were 15% down, but then you recovered. And when you recovered, you went back to the all-time high. So if your thesis is that we are in this part of the cycle, and right now, until we get a better thesis, we need to assume that this is the right thesis. That would mean that the market is going to move up pretty quickly. It would mean that dips are going to be brought up very quickly, and that we're going to keep getting higher highs very, very, very quickly. I just want to show you, like, from this top, including a dip, just to get back to this level, took us 31 days. So we went from a high to a low and back up to a high in 31 days. That's less than a month. That's how fast things could move in this part of the bull market, right? Give me 1 second. There we go. So the main thing that you need to understand here is when this happens, like you see this move over here, that was the big move down in that cycle that I showed you. That was like the big move down. That corresponded to a Bitcoin move, right? So with all these moves, and I'll try and get us a bit of a better picture here. With all these moves, the dips in the altcoins, like here, look at that dip in the altcoin. That corresponded to a Bitcoin move. I'll close that just to make it easier for you guys. So even though the general trend is very, very much up, when we had the real corrections in the cycle, like let's have a look there, you can see that Bitcoin actually made a move. In this case, Bitcoin hasn't made a move yet, which leaves us with pretty much two options here. Either we're going to have one of these corrections where Bitcoin doesn't make a move at all. And really what's going to happen is we're going to do one of these. We're going to do one of like these from here to here, 15% down on the altcoins over 4 or 5 days, and bang, we go back up. Or we're going to have Bitcoin correcting. And if Bitcoin corrects, then we could probably expect one of these. We can expect one of these where we go 20, 30% down, but it doesn't matter. And the reason why it doesn't matter is because just look at the number of days that all this pain and torture actually ends up lasting from the blow off top right down to the bottom. It's 14 days. And 14 days is enough time for us to basically get the buys that we actually want to be getting, right? Because like now you can't really start buying it because the market hasn't gone down. So if this correction lands up being like a 2-day, 3-day, week correction, which by the way, I don't think it's going to be, then it's like you won't be able to get the entries that you actually want because the prices don't look good enough for us actually to start buying. I also want to show you something else which reaffirms the point of how long these corrections last in this kind of market, right? So I made a chart here of the up parts of the market and the down parts of the market. 1 second. Okay. So I made a chart here for you guys of the up part of the market and the down part of the market. Now what you'll realize here is that in the up part of the market, when the markets are going up quite a lot, specifically the altcoin markets. Now, I'm focusing very much on altcoins here. The corrections are very short. 9 days, 5 days, 7 days. The altcoin corrections are super, super, super short. When the market is going down, obviously you're going to get much bigger and much more drawn out corrections. 33 days, 59 days, 74 days. But if you make an assumption that we're in an up market right now and that this is one of these bull market corrections, you're talking about a top to bottom of like 14 days. You're talking about, it's not like in a sideways market, which is the market that we've had up until now, where the corrections of 32 days, 39 days, 114 days. Now we're in this part of the market. And in this part of the market, corrections are very, 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 very quick. Even when we look at the chart that we looked at yesterday, this is the chart that we looked at yesterday, which was the ETH BTC, and we looked specifically at the RSIs, and we said that, you know, when the ETH BTC chart has a rampant move up and alts outperform Bitcoin for a period, which is exactly what happened here, and the RSIs get heated to 85, we said that that always brings about a correction, remember? We said like the RSIs get to 85, that always brings about some kind of correction. And so you ask yourself, okay, but then, great, but then how long do these corrections actually last? So from the time that you break the RSI to the bottom of the correction, 13 days, 4 days, 44 days, 5 days, 3 days, 9 days, 4 days. You get it. It's like when alts, this is probably the chart that summarizes it all the best. Why? Because what you're saying on this chart is, this is the 1 day RSI of ETH versus BTC. When the RSI of ETH versus BTC, i.e. when the RSI of altcoins versus Bitcoin gets very heated, too heated, above 85, and therefore corrects, which it does 100% of the time, then the corrections are very, 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 very quick. 32% in 13 days, 12% in 4 days, 13% in 44 days. You see, the corrections are very, 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 very steep. But one thing you'll notice is that they're getting less and less steep, because in 2016, there was not much liquidity, and now there's a whole lot more liquidity. So what you can see here is that if there is going to be a correction, and really I say hopefully there is going to be a correction, then great, it's going to be a very, very, very quick correction. Two things have shown you that. The first thing that's shown you that is just this others chart where I've shown you the last part of the cycle. And the second thing that's shown you that is when you look at the previous corrections of ETH BTC, or the previous times that ETH has outperformed BTC by so much that the RSI actually shoots up. When that happens, generally there's a correction, but generally that correction lasts like 2 weeks, a week and a half, which is exactly the amount of time that the other chart showed us, that will be the corrections. It's pretty much all lining up to saying, look, maybe we're going to have 10 to 14 days of a bad market. And that's if Bitcoin moves. If Bitcoin doesn't move, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of a bad market. So now all eyes basically are on Bitcoin. And what we're looking at specifically on Bitcoin is Bitcoin actually going to start falling in this correction? If it does, expect 14 days correction. If it doesn't, expect a 5 or 6 day correction. It's really as simple as that. That's what the data is actually telling you. In essence, the thesis or the fundamentals stay exactly the same, right? Number one, like if you think about like if this correction happens, number one, I'm still in the mindset that we are going into a blow off top on others, right? Maybe I can say that on others, we're not going to be as aggressive as we were because we haven't started the rate cuts yet. So I think we are going into an aggressive period of altcoin movement. Number two, I still think that Bitcoin needs to get into this 166,000 range. I know it hasn't happened, and I know that I called for it to happen by end of July, but I think maybe by end August. I really think that if you look at all the times that Bitcoin breaks out of a cycle and it kept going up 50%, remember we spoke about this. We said every time Bitcoin goes, yeah, I'll actually get this chart for us quickly. Trading view. We can get us a Bitcoin chart, BTC USD chart. Okay, so let's look here. So when you have these breakouts, when you have these Bitcoin breakouts in the cycle, let me just go back here. So I'm going to put it there. When we have Bitcoin breakouts in this cycle, and you take the cycle and you take the amount that these actually that we actually break out every single time. I think we worked out last time that from the breakout, which is let's just say for argument's sake about there, you do keep moving up 50%, right? So there we broke out. Here we broke out 50%. In general, these moves should be 50% moves. This move hasn't been a real move. And so the question is the real move actually going to come? I think the answer is yes. I think we are going to get the real move. I mean, hold on. Maybe it'll be spurred by what's actually happening today. I mean, today, I don't know if you guys know, but Trump's actually gone to the Fed, believe it or not. Trump doesn't do this often, but he's actually scheduled to visit the Fed today. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that meeting when Powell goes to meet, when Trump goes to Powell's office, right? So that's the thesis. The other thesis is, look, everything else is playing in our favor. Number one, the NASDAQ is at all-time highs. The S&P is at all-time highs. You've got the money chart, the global liquidity money chart on the way up. At the same time, you've got the 𝗥𝘂 breaking down again. So you see the 𝗥𝘂 put in another lower high, which is exactly what you want to see from the 𝗥𝘂. So the thesis remains the same. And this becomes a very simple correction in a very, very raging bull market, right? Which is exactly what we saw in 2017, exactly what we saw in 2021. It's like, this is the perfect, trust me guys, this is the ultimate scenario. And so the questions that you should be asking right now is, when do I start buying? And what do I start buying? And so I figured today what I do is I just give you I worked out a little technique that could help you buy the best things. Because the last thing that you want is for the dip to come and not to have money. And if you do have money, the last thing that you want is to panic on the dip and not realize what you want to buy. And then by the time you've actually decided what you want to buy, it's all gone. Okay. So you need to plan your dip now. Plan the dip now. You know it's coming. If it doesn't come now, it'll come in a week. If it doesn't come in a week, it'll come in 2 weeks. There is the dip. They happen every single bull market. If there isn't a dip, great. We're all rich. If there is a dip, we need to have some money to buy the dip. So how do you prepare for buying the dip? I'm going to show you two things. The first thing is have cash. As I said to you before, I'm trying to get to 10% cash. If you don't have money, you can't buy the dip. Make sense? I mean, yeah, if you don't have money, you cannot buy the dip unless you feel like selling kidneys and I don't know, what else can you sell? The other thing you got to do is you got to have a plan of exactly what you want to buy when the dip actually comes, right? And for that, the way that I believe you should do it is you should have some kind of buy list ready. And how do you get that buy list ready? Well, the first thing is develop a thesis of what you believe this market cycle actually looks like and what you want to invest in, right? So like for me, I know that this is an institutional money cycle. I know that as a result, ETH is going to move. A whole lot of the ETH betas are going to move. I also know that as exuberance goes up, meme coins start moving. And like, I'm not an idiot. I'm going to definitely put some money into the meme coins. Like there's no doubt about it in my mind that I'm actually going to put some money behind some of the meme coins. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, I'm not really a long-term big fan of meme coins. Therefore, I'm not going to invest. I like money just as much as the next guy. And so you have to have some betas or meme coins actually in your portfolio. So once you've got this thesis and you've decided more or less what you want to buy, then I've got a little system which I actually worked out today while I was preparing the list. Because what I started doing was I started preparing the list of what I want to buy. And then what I started to do was, so I started to prepare a list. And then I was like looking for more coins to put on the list. And then the whole thesis clicked for me. So what do? You go to Banter Bubbles. Okay, so you go to Banter Bubbles. Okay, and today the bubbles look a bit red, which is exactly what we said. But put it onto the 1 month view. Okay, now when you look at the 1 month view on Banter Bubbles, what you'll realize is that some coins have moved a lot more than other coins, right? Like Pengu, Bonk, those have moved a lot more than other coins. Curve has moved a lot more than other coins. Tezos moved a lot more than other coins. If you go to the next 200, what you realize is, okay, let's just pop this. We pop this one because we're not buying this token. So let's just quickly pop that one. Okay, so did you know you could pop bubbles on Banter Bubbles? You didn't. Now you do. Okay, so you can see that there's certain coins that have just moved a whole lot more than other coins, right? Those are what the cycle calls reflexive coins. Reflexive coins means when the market goes up, they are the ones that will react the most. That's called a reflexive coin. It's like it has good reflexes. When the market goes up, the reflexive coins actually move with them. You want to be in the reflexive coins, right? You want to be in the winners of the cycle. So you create a thesis. You say, okay, I want to be in ETH betas. I want to be in DEXs because I love DEXs. The reason, as I've said to you before, why I like DEXs is because I don't really want to speculate on a million projects. But regardless of what the project is, I know people are always going to trade on DEXs, whether it's perpetuals DEXs, normals DEXs. Blockchain is about creating digital value. And when you create digital value, there's really only two things you can do with it. You can hold it or you can trade it. And if you trade it, well, you're going to trade it on a DEX or perpetuals DEX, right? And so regardless of which projects are actually born, etc., you just want to be holding the bricks and the infrastructure. And so here's what I basically did. I said, okay, I know what my thesis is, as I explained to you. And now what I want to do is I want to see how reflexive the actual tokens are, right? And so let me show you like a few examples, right? So let's look at the first list. So the first coin that I have on the list is I want to hold Hyperliquid. In this dip, I'm going to start buying Hyperliquid. Right now it's trading at 42.82. That number is too high for me. I'm going to wait, and I'm going to wait until Hyperliquid goes to my entry point, and then I'm going to end up buying Hyperliquid. Okay, I'm also going to buy a couple of other majors, right? So the first major I'm going to buy is Hyperliquid. The second and third major that I'm going to buy, because I've broken it up into majors, are 𝗬𝗢𝗞𝗄𝗏 and BNB. Okay, so I'm not actually buying ETH. I'm going to buy ETH betas. Also because I have enough Solana, I'm not actually going to be buying. I've got a lot of Solana. I don't need Solana. If you need Solana in your portfolio, you can put Solana in your bags. For me, the ones that are most price reflexive for me are 𝗬𝗢𝗞𝗄𝗏. When the market moves down, 𝗬𝗢𝗞𝗄𝗏 is going to move down quite a lot. When the market moves up, 𝗬𝗢𝗞𝗏 is going to move up quite fast. I want to be holding that. Then the next one that I'm putting on the list, which is quite a new one for us, is BNB. Now, there's a reason why I'm putting BNB on the list, right? If you look at BNB, there's two things that are happening in BNB which I think are very, very, very important that you actually pay attention to. The first thing is look at the token performance of BNB. Okay, BNB is one of the only tokens that is almost at all-time highs this cycle from the previous cycles, right? BNB is one of the only tokens that has made an all-time high. This is a token that's been around for multi-cycle. If you look at the BNB chart, BNB against BTC, let's see if we can actually do that, BNB BTC. Okay, look at how BNB has broken out against BTC. To me, there's another narrative that's also playing here. And I briefly touched on the narrative yesterday, but I'll touch on the narrative again today. So if you want to buy, if you're American, and that's where the majority of the crypto money actually is, and we know that institutions are actually driving the narrative this cycle. If you're American and you want to buy the biggest crypto exchanges in the world, the reality is that you can only buy Coinbase, right? You can buy Coinbase on the market. You can't get access to Kraken because it's not listed yet. And also Kraken is not one of the biggest in the world, right? The only way that you can actually get access to Binance, which is much bigger than Coinbase, is by buying BNB. And pretty soon there's going to be a whole lot of listed BNB treasury vehicles on the market. And those are going to attract institutional capital, and it's going to start buying BNB and the BNB ecosystem. And so you want to be buying that, right? So the three majors that I'm going to try and pick up in this dip is Hype, 𝗬𝗢𝗞𝗄𝗏, and BNB. Okay, but then I'm going to move from the majors and I'm going to move to the betas. The betas are the moves that will move very, very, very fast when these guys move, but also give me exposure to Solana and ETH. And let's actually make this a different colors just so we can get a good separation here. So what are the betas that I actually want to be buying? Well, the first one is Aerodrome. Why? Because if ETH runs, then Aerodrome will run much more. Why? Because Aerodrome represents the biggest DEX on Base. There's no entry into Base. And so the only way to trade Base, or the best way to trade Base, is to just buy tokens in Aerodrome. But that's not the only DEX that I'm actually going to buy. I'm going to buy a whole lot of other DEXs, right? I'm going to buy Curve. Why am I going to buy Curve? Because, again, let me go to my charts and let me go into this thing and look at the biggest bubbles. If I remove Pengu, which we'll talk about in a second, if I remove Pengu and I remove Bonk, sorry, let me just pop it again. I remove Pengu, I remove Bonk, I remove Conflux. Look at what one of the biggest bubbles out there is. It's Curve. Why? Because Curve is a stable coin exchange. It's an exchange where you can trade one stable coin for another with very, very, very little slippage, right? So why do I want to hold Curve? Because I know that there's an ETH that there is a stable coin narrative that is brewing in the United States. And I want to hold Curve. And also my litmus test is telling me that Curve is a very reflexive token in this part of the cycle. I want to buy it. Cool. The other one that I want to buy, also a DEX, is the biggest DEX. Well, by far the biggest DEX on Avalanche. It's Alex and Elio's new DEX. Now again, I'm going to go into the top 300 because it's a smaller token. Look at, let's just see if we can find it. I did find it earlier when I was looking. Maybe it is, let's have a look at a black hole. Okay, look, just have a look at this. Okay, up 96%. Okay, I want to be holding the DEXs on all the different chains. That is on my buy list. And then I'm going to be holding the DEX on Solana, which again, if I go into the biggest DEX on Solana, which is Radium, so I go to Radium and I say, okay, I want to buy the biggest DEX on Solana. I think Radium will probably be on the first top 100. Let's just quickly try and find it. Okay, so Radium also up 50%. So I want to be in all the DEXs. Okay, but that's not all the exposure that I want to have. I want to have some other exposure. Specifically, I want to have exposure to ETH and to the rest of the cycle. So what do I buy? I buy Athena. The reason I buy Athena is because in bull markets, Athena runs because there's lots of yield. And Athena's model works on high yields and high leverage. ENS, because ENS is a great beta for ETH. And 𝗤𝗄, because 𝗤𝗄 captures all the value on Solana. Okay, so yeah, I've got myself an amazing buy list. But that's not enough, right? Because I want to be getting into the memes as well. I know memes are going to run. And as much as I don't fundamentally believe in memes, you got to have some crazy plays in your casino. Now, the winner meme of this cycle, no doubt, 100% is actually 𝗵𝗂, right? So 𝗵𝗂 is the winner. And by the way, today, if you are in Frontrunners, you already know this, but we got you guys a surprise private session with a private Q&A with 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, who's the founder of 𝗵𝗂. So he's the founder of Pudgy Penguins. He's the founder of 𝗵𝗂. He's the founder of Abstract Chain. He is actually going to be in Frontrunners today in a few hours. If you want to join, you can join Frontrunners. As I've said to you guys before, you can join. It's pretty much, you could say, free. Why? Because you can try it, and if you don't like it, then you can leave, right? You can jump out. But it's pretty much, so you can jump out and you can get your money back after 30 days. He's going to be there at the Discord at 4 p.m. UK time or 11 EST. You just click that, sign up, 30 days money back guarantee if you don't like it. So I want to be in 𝗵𝗂. And you know, by the way, I don't know if you guys heard the Pump Fun stream last night, but I really think that if 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 from 𝗵𝗂 teamed up with Alon from Pump Fun, those guys would have an amazing combination. Like amazing combination. Pump Fun is really struggling building a community, and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 knows exactly how to build a community. Like, I think it would be like a match made in absolute heaven. Anyway, we digress. We go back to others. So 𝗵𝗂 is one that I'd be buying. There's two other memes that I'd be buying, right? And they're small. And the reason why I'm going straight for the small memes. Yes, of course, you can buy Fartcoin and you can buy SPX. I'm going straight for small memes. Momo and just meme coin. And why? That's because I like risk. And I'm saying if I'm gonna go into the memes, I'm gonna go into the small risk. There's two small memes that I'm playing at the moment. You guys know because I've told you, specifically if you're in Frontrunners. One of them is Momo. Okay. It's back at $30 million market cap. So I made an announcement that we bought quite a lot of the supply on the open market. So Momo is one of them. Why? This has got a crazy community. I've never ever seen anything like this community. That's the first one that I'm actually buying. And then the other one, I'm not going to say it's inside information because you can't have inside information on a meme. But this is a bunch of people that I have worked with in the past, and they're very solid. And it's this thing called Just Meme Coin. So I'm buying these as these are like my speculative go crazy plays. And then there's one other meme coin play that I'm actually buying, and you guys can decide. This is like controversial, but this is like you guys can decide which one you would buy. I've broken it down between Pump Fun and Bonk, two competitors. But I believe that you should own one of them or both of them. Why? Because you either believe that after yesterday's stream with the thread guy, Pump Fun has bottomed, or, okay, so either you believe that Pump Fun has bottomed, at just under $3 when, or sorry, 3 cents, 0.03 cents when the ICO price was 4 cents, or you believe is never going to deliver, in which case you should land up buying bonk. But either way, I would definitely get involved in one of the launch pads. So either get involved in bonk or pump. Spoiler alert, I'm actually going for pump. Why? Because I think the damage is like this thing is pretty low. And I also think that the ratio of cash to market, like if you think about cash to market supply, you're talking about they've got $2 billion in cash and they're trading at $3 billion fully diluted valuation. That's an absurd valuation. Complete absurd valuation. Then the last thing that I would do, or one of the other ones that I'd add, I don't think I added in here, but I'm going to add it in here. Athena, I want to add in Athena. Athena is going to grow and grow and grow. I think we did speak about that. The last thing that I would do is I would actually wait for a dip. And when there's a dip, I'd actually get into 𝗕𝗂𝗏𝗧 bot. Now, why do I say that? Because we started trading this 𝗕𝗂𝗏𝗧 bot. It's not a bot. You're just copy trading a bot. We started trading this 𝗕𝗂𝗏𝗧 bot on the 1st of July. That's when we started trading the bot, right? And if I look at the Bitcoin returns from the 1st of July, which is, let's just quickly get a Bitcoin chart here. And I look at the Bitcoin returns from the 1st of July, 15th of June, 2nd of July over here. And I go to where we are here. Bitcoin has returned like 13%. At the same time, 𝗕𝗂𝗏𝗧 bot, which is, remember, 𝗕𝗂𝗏𝗧 bot's trading in, out. So the risk is pretty limited. Like the maximum that it's ever drawn down is actually 6%. But that bot has actually returned 30% on your money, which is more money than I've been making on Bitcoin, that's for sure. Now, if you want to join 𝗕𝗂𝗏𝗧 bot, this is not my thing, it's Blowfin. What they've done is they've said you have to sign up with this link first, and then you can click that and you land up copying the bot, right? I would do that because specifically in the bot does really well when the market goes up. So if we get it, you can buy it now, or you can just wait until the market goes down. When the market goes down, make sure you ape into the bot because the bot gets you outsized returns in general, right? That's why it seems to be slightly better. Yeah, and that's pretty much the list. Now, for you guys that are in front runners, we have published a list of all the calls that all the researchers see. Like you got Joe, you got Chris, you got Alex, Shabam, Andre, Naz, Josh, Kapur, Rohit, all the researchers. You can pretty much go see what they're gonna buy. Like you can see Joe here, he's buying XRP. I mean, have fun staying poor. I mean, and then like a whole lot of others. We've actually sent you guys a list of what every other researcher is buying, so that you guys can add that to your portfolios. Yeah. Otherwise, I think that's it for today. Unless anything's happened, I don't think anything's happened. So we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Remember, if you want to, okay, we'll see you guys before we say goodbye to you guys. Remember that again, if you want to join the talk today, it's with Luca Nets. You can ask him questions. You can interact with him. All you need to do, click on this link over here. Sign up for Frontrunners. If you don't like it in the next 30 days, I'm going to give you back your money. You've got nothing to worry about. All right, I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.